just a couple of housekeeping points here. You're in a big browser window like Internet Explorer or Chrome. You can make that full size to have the best experience possible. I've muted everybody's microphones so folks don't have to worry about interrupting. Once we get into the live show, there'll be a little window sort of right under my photo here that says Q&A. And that's the perfect place for you to enter any of your questions. We really pay attention to them there. Frankie Fioretti is monitoring those tonight. She'll be giving you your answers. It's easier than keeping up in the chat room, especially, you know, when we have dozens and dozens of folks in there. It can scroll past very, very quickly. So I encourage you to chat with each other in the chat room, but for questions, please post them in the Q&A pod. Anytime we put any links up over here, like in that area, or once you'll see them down below in a little bit, those are live, so you just have to click on those. It'll take you right to where you want to go on the web. Again, if you have time, please be sure you've joined the Create and Craft email list and the USArtQuest email list so you know about future events, and be sure to like us on Facebook. So with that, we're just about ready to dive in and jump in on our hands-on class. So you can see the windows have rearranged a little bit. You still have live links right in the bottom, and this will cover most of the products that we're working with here tonight. Now, one of the things I'd like to get asked is before we get out and get started, I'm curious as to what folks like to make. And we always like to ask this in every one of our shows. We like to get an idea of what it is that folks like to create. So I've put up a quick survey here. And if you could take a minute and just fill in what is it that you like to make. You can make as many choices as you'd like. But this will help Sue and I gauge whether or not we have scrapbookers or card makers or, you know, what kind of folks are out there in the crowd. And the results so far have actually been pretty consistent, and it looks like it's headed that way tonight, with the bulk of folks being card makers. Although tonight, boy, we have ties for home decor and altered art. Let me share those results so hopefully everybody can see the kinds of answers that are coming in tonight. So that's just perfect. This gives us a great idea of the kind of content that we should talk about. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that poll and just hide it. So tonight our focus is mica, and mica comes in all sorts of flavors. Sue is going to talk about that with us tonight. I'm just curious before we even start as well, how many of you have mica in your current stash? So all different types of mica out there. If you have it, you probably know these different names. Just out of curiosity, what sort of mica do you currently have in your stash? And again, you can answer, of course, more than one. If you're like me, you have a whole bunch, a whole different kind. It looks like, wow, a lot of folks have mica tiles. Let me go ahead and broadcast these results. Hi, Terry Sue. You said you're raising your hand. If you have a question, just pop it up above in that chat Q&A window, and we'll be sure to answer it because it's hard to sort of keep track of all these different windows at the same time. But cool, this gives us a really good idea of the kinds of mica that folks already have in their craft room, in their craft stash. So let me go ahead and get rid of that. And with that, I would like to welcome Susan Pickering Rothamel to join me. Sue is up in her home studio in Chelsea, Michigan. So Sue, are you out there? Can you start your cam?
I am out here. Let me just figure out how to share this again. Here we go. Well, Joe, you know me. Hang on one second here. How's that? Am I on?
Nope, nope, nope.
Joe?
We hear you, Sue. We hear you, Sue. Over in this window, you should have the ability to say...
Oh, you can hear me, but you can't see me.
Just click Start Your Camera, share your cam.
Oh, I got it. I got it. I figured it out. There I am. Hi. Hi, everybody. Hi. Sometimes I just forget. Besides that, tonight I have a perfectly good excuse. I took a Claritin a few hours ago, and I feel totally foggy. So this should be a really good show.
Are you sure?
How's everybody doing here?
Was it the Claritin, Sue? Or
Pardon me?
Was it the wine you drank with the Claritin? I just need a little clarification.
That might have been it. No, no, not me. I'm so excited about tonight because you know how I feel about mica. It is one of the oldest products coming from USArtQuest, but it has grown and grown over the years because we have found so many techniques that we can do with this product. So I'm very, very excited to kind of lay out all the different kinds of mica that are available to everybody and some of the things that you can do with them. As you can see, I'm even wearing this beautiful, before we switch cameras, look at this necklace. This is all made out of mica tiles and mica shapes. Just all we did was put some little brads in them and attach them to a chain, and it's just simply beautiful. It's easy to wear, it's very nice around the neck, and it feels really good. So I wore this tonight to show you that jewelers out there, I noticed that there were quite a few, you'll enjoy very much wearing the mica as much as you will using it for your artwork.
Yeah, Sue, your camera froze up there for a second, your camera and sound. So
is everyone hearing me, Joe? Are we going to get going now? All right, I'm going to switch cameras.
We're ready. I'm going to close.
We're going to go to the overhead. Okay, here we go. Well, to start with, most of you, I noticed, have some mica powders. And mica powders come in these little pots. And we're not going to really get into the powders or the watercolor tonight. But to be honest, this is the most common form of mica. Watercolors and mica powders are what's used in so many different things that you may or may not know. For instance, it's used in nail polish. It's used in lipstick. It's used in even your blush and your powders. And all that little sparkly shine that you get is all mica. And it's really quite a beautiful product, and they use it in car paint. And it's actually from whence the name Formica came. So mica is used in lots of different things. And we're going to save the powders and the watercolors for another show because mica is a huge topic. And I want to show you some of the other things that you can do. When you saw the mica pots, you saw that it was a real powdery form. If you go to the next size up, so the first thing is I'm going to give you this lesson on mica. If you grind it really small, you get this powder that just sparkles, and it's just so beautiful. You can even see the sparkle. Look at it in the camera. And it's really, really a beautiful sparkle. This is what you might use instead of glitter because it gives you a natural sparkle rather than a garish sparkle. Look at this little box. If that were glitter, you wouldn't be able to hardly put your eyes on it. But with the really nice mica delights, we call them mica delights because they have like little lights in them. All these mica delights really, really show up. This was an old piece of junk jewelry. So the mica delights are the next size up from the powder. And the next size up from there are called mica flakes. And I saw that a lot of you had mica flakes. And mica flakes come very large or very small. It's hard to see it because it's sparkling so much. And everything in between. We have them ground in various sizes to use for different projects. And mica flakes, I'm never going to get these all back in this jar. Mica flakes are a really great project to just play with. And you might use something as simple as making a card like this, where you've taken a rubber stamp, you stamp the card, and then you use the mica flakes on it to indicate that these are leaves. And mica flakes come in various colors. They're large, they're small, they're chunky, they're sparkly, or you might use mica flakes on some of your die cuts. Some of you are scrapbookers. All of this is something called champagne. It's smaller. This is larger. These are flakes and something called copper in there. So all these little flakes can create texture, sparkle, without going over the top. We even have the edge of the paper torn, and you can use the flakes there. So flakes are the next size up. So we've gone from powder to delight to flakes, and then you go to the tiles. And the tiles are the most interesting, I think. Tiles come in lots of sizes. I'm just going to show you. We have the new minis, And we have small, medium, large, and these are called grand. And the really, really gorgeous grand effects. And let me tell you what's so interesting about mica. Mica is a rock, first of all, comes out of the ground. And the pieces like this are harder to find now in the United States. They very seldom have mines anymore. And you can cleave this, you can just split it by taking your fingernail and going along the edge. And this is a really hard piece. And you just go along the edge like so. And you can hear it maybe. And now I have two. And I probably could get, because this was a very thick piece, I could probably get nearly 100 pieces out of this one, because this happens to be pretty thick. You can even see the leading edge of it in the camera. Sometimes they're really thin and you can't. But this is really nice. These can be used, you can sandwich things in these, encapsulation, all different kinds of things. And I'm going to show you what you can do with the mica tiles. Here's a piece that's where you can use the tiles just as a window. And this is a piece by Frankie Fioretti. She's with us tonight. It has some of the mica shapes, some of the mica craft, and this is a large mica tile. And you can really see how pretty it is when you put something under the tile and it's used as a window. This is one of my favorite pieces I have of Frankie's. But I want to show you the different kinds of mica. What I did was I drew some stars on some paper. This is called stained mica, and it's really nice because it's a natural formation in the mica. It has like little dead bugs like amber and little bits of flotsam and jetsam that over the millennia have landed in the layers, in the various layers, and being in the various layers, then more mica silicate is laid on top. Some of the mica is very clear, and some of it is even clearer. These are about the same thickness. This is called green, this is called rose, and this is called stained. Some of the stuff that we give you is more stained, some of it's not. So when you go to pick out your mica, you can select whether you want more stained. But these really big ones are almost all stained because this is the least important kind of mica, which is used mostly in the electrical industry. This is the least important kind of mica. All these clearer ones are much harder to come by. See how clear that is? So you can see through the mica like a window. That's what's so nice about it. You can die cut the mica. And here's some shapes that we die cut. And look at the difference between a stained tag and a not stained tag. And it's very interesting to use them in your artwork. So it's not that one is better or not. They're very interesting to use that way. These are called photo corners, and we have rings in 3 sizes. And they're just really nice. And the necklace that I'm wearing has a lot of these shapes in them. And then there's another kind of 2 micas, and they're called decor. And they're a little more pricey. One of them is becoming almost impossible to get, and that's this one. This is called reflective. And I do believe that once this is gone from our inventory, we won't be able to get it anymore. It has, you can see the light from above reflecting on it. It has a very nice reflective quality. It is not quite as transparent. It's a little softer than regular mica, but absolutely gorgeous. And this is called Indian Amber. This one's going to be around for a while, and it has a very nice root beer color to it, and when it's thick you can barely see through it. It's just gorgeous. So you can see it when it's a little thinner. When I've done some cleaving on it, you can see that, and it has a mottled effect, so it has a different, just slightly different feel than the standard mica tiles. So that's the mica tile story. Small, medium, large, extra large, and I guess you all want to see some of the things that we can do with it. I know Joe has a couple things. Do you want to start off, Joe, and show what we can do with some of the mica?
Sure, I can show a couple of things. Let me show, I know Susan mentioned using it as a whole tile, and I actually have a piece that I did for my best friend, and hopefully you can see this picture okay. Maybe I can make it a little bit bigger. This is the first time I've ever tried to share a picture. So in the chat room, if you could let me know if you could see the picture, that would be great. This is an assemblage I did called Best Friends. He's been my friend for 20 years. 25 years, and he reminds me of a little old lady. So there's two little old ladies sitting on a bench, and he's from England. All these things have things to do with our 25-year history, going out to play bingo or cards or being best friends, having tea, English tea. So you can just see there's a big piece of mica there on top of that project. So that's one use of a whole tile. And their post is on my blog about that. I know, too, that we had some questions come in about, can you emboss this? And what can you do with embossing? So I'm going to jump over here to my tabletop. And I've got some mica tiles here. And you can see I just keep them in this bag. I just want to show you how easy this is to emboss. Now, you can trim it before or after, but it cuts super easy, you know, with scissors. It's very easy to cut. Now, to get a good emboss, you don't want one that's too thick. So if you can bend it a little bit, see that bends pretty well, that's probably a good thickness. You may have to adjust piece parts. I've got a big kick here. It works just as well in the Vagabond. And I'm going to go ahead and stick my mica into an embossing plate. I've got a finished one done, too, so that I can show you what that's like. But you've got to make your sandwich. Now, you know, you may have to play with this a little bit as you make your sandwich to get it just right. But let's see what happens when we run this through. Now, it's going to crunch. Can you hear the crunching? Hear the crunching on there? Hopefully the microphone picks that crunch up. No reason to be panicked about the crunchiness. You're not hurting anything. I'm going to go ahead and take this out. Move my big kick out of the way. And let's see how this embossed. I chose kind of a steampunk folder here. Can you see all the clockworks? And see that beautiful effect there with the clockworks? We did one earlier. I have an owl project to show you later tonight. And here's one of a little tiny owl. And I think these natural elements like the owl look great. Can you see the owl okay on cam? So that's how well the mica embosses. So I'm going to turn it back over to Sue and let Sue show you what she's got in store next. But it's easy to emboss. Don't worry about the crunching sound. Hopefully you could hear it.
Well, I'm going to show you a couple finished pieces. This one is an embossed snowflake design. And you can see when it's, this has a piece of holographic paper underneath it, so it really lets it sparkle. For snowflakes, that would be a natural thing to do, would be to have something sparkling under it. So it's a little subtle way to show things. But things that are natural really show up well. And this one is an incorporation of tiles, the embossed tile, and a mica ring. And you can see with a little leather strap, it's very natural looking and organic. And the nice thing is that these Japanese maple leaves really show from underneath, and it's quite a stunning little collage. Assemblage, I guess, is really what it is. So embossing tiles is a great way to use your tiles. Now, sometimes when you do something like this snowflake, which has a long line in it, or sometimes some of the embossing plates have really linear patterning, the best thing to do is, because it's a rock and you could literally just fracture right across the crystal surfaces, you can line it. So before you begin putting it in the embossing tile, trace your tile. Then run it through your embossing tile, put the Cut Bond Create on the back, and that will stabilize this piece. By doing that, I was able to just adhere it right to the holographic paper. The other thing that you can do is adhere it to another piece that you cleaved. So if this one was the tile that was embossed, and I put the Cut Bond Create in between, and then I put the other piece on top, it would really stabilize a piece that you could use in a three-dimensional way. Sometimes you want dimensionality, and sometimes you don't mind if it's perfectly flat. So the Cut Bond Create gives it real stability because it is an acrylic adhesive. The other thing that you can do with your mica is rubber stamp on it. Now, I have what's called a heat gun holster, and I'm going to bring it into the camera. And the heat gun holster is really cool because you can put your heat gun upside down. And when you're working with your mica tiles, you want to work upside down so you don't blow the powders all over the place. It's a little hard to talk and be creative at the same time, but I'm going to do that. So here I have a nice clear piece of mica, as you can see, and I'm going to stamp right onto it, guess I should say. And I have some embossing powder. It's kind of chunky, but we're going to give it a try anyway. And most of you who have not stamped before, this is just an ink that holds a powder onto it. And I'm going to stamp right onto my mica tile. Now, if this was a one kind of ink, you wouldn't have to emboss it. But the nice thing is that mica can withstand very high temperatures. And in doing so, it means you can do all kinds of great techniques using the mica. Now, this is something whoops, I just spilled that. That's okay. I was trying to explain to Joe, these are handy clips. Mica will get very, very hot. Remember the window in your grandmother's oven or the coal furnace? That was made of block mica. That's what this is, block mica. And it gets really hot. So what I do is I put two handy clips together. Now look how stable that is. And I can just turn my heat gun on and heat it from underneath. Now, what this does is it prevents the powder from blowing all around, and it embosses at the same time because remember I said it gets really hot. So this is now embossed. You can see how quickly it embosses, and it's really quite beautiful. And this would be gorgeous, just overlaid onto a piece of artwork. You could put natural flowers or leaves still hot, and underneath it. So I'm going to set it aside because it does get very warm, and you want it to cool down before you put your hands on it. Even like on Frankie's piece, you can see, let me get this in the camera, if you had a little piece in here, something like that would be really quite lovely. So I've put the piece aside, and I'm going to show you a couple more things that you can do to a tile, and some of them are just pieces that I can show you, and this is really kind of fun. This piece here, notice how unclear it is? It looks like water glass, and this is the easiest technique that you can do. And all you do is take perfect paper adhesive gloss, that's this glue here, which is how you would adhere a lot of things. You'd use the gloss adhesive and a texture sponge, and you simply dab, dab, dab. I have some in a little cup here. Dab, 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 like so, with the texture sponge, and it resembles old-fashioned water glass. And as soon as that dries, it will be this clear, but still like a water glass effect. It's really pretty. And it goes well with lots of your natural things when you're trying to make icy looking things. So set that aside to dry. You can use your alcohol inks on them, and the nice thing is that you can still see through them. The alcohol ink gives you a very interesting effect. You can see right through it, and if you use alcohol inks, mica tiles are good for that. Here's another rubber stamped piece. And you can etch it. And this is a very interesting technique. I'm going to have to hold it up really close. See where it says "Be Mine" and there's a little bee? A lot of you will say, well, I can't draw and I can't do that. But the nice thing is remember that the mica tiles are clear. And because they're clear, you can trace. So you can trace things. Here's one of the grand effects. And look at the etching on the side. And it was die cut in the middle. It's edged around the middle with mica flakes in the onyx. And then etched. And that's just tracing another design. You don't have to know how to draw. Use your little pick and pierce pokey tool that we use. And just scratch the mica very gently. Doesn't take hardly anything. And notice the little mica rings make very nice corners on cards and scrapbooking, jewelry, that kind of thing. Here's some rubber stamping. This one is done on the back of the tile, and it looks really great with the vintage kind of artwork, or these are all black and white, so it looks terrific with that. And this one's really cute. This one, we just fractured the tiles by tearing them. And Julie, this is Julie scuba diving in Aruba. And Julie's our customer service gal. And these little fishes are Fred Mullet's rubber stamp fishes, all swimming along the mica. So it gives it a real watery effect, and you can place them any way you want. So you could rubber stamp on it, and you can use the perfect paper adhesive on it. You can use alcohol ink on it. You can punch them. See this? There's a little tiny hole with a brad. You can punch them and put ribbons on them. And this one's going to eventually be decked out with pearls and be a little Christmas wreath. So there's all different kinds of techniques that you can do with the tiles. Let me show you what the techniques look like finished. This is a pressed flower encapsulated between two tiles and held together with paper clips. It's not a particularly difficult piece to do because pressed flowers are readily accessible, but it sure is pretty. Frankie did this one. These are maple leaves from my tree outside, and they are just glued to the paper with the mica tile on top, and again a few rings. This one is barely shows, but it really makes this card, this little watercolor card, this is the mica watercolors, makes it really sparkle. Frankie also did this one. Frankie does a lot of our samples, and she does beautiful work. This is an art quilt. Now, there weren't very many art quilters in the group, but I think it's really a good example of how to encapsulate a photo underneath. And if this was done with perfect paper adhesive, gloss adhered to the back, the photo was put on. And of course, this is quilting and then using rubber stamps and some of our paint, so it looks really nice. And even stamping right on the fabric. And right here where I stamped on the fabric, it's nice because you can see right through the tile. And it's nice because they're words and you can still read them, yet they're incorporated into the overall composition of the art quilt. So it integrates very nicely. And this is a beautiful bracelet, and I apologize for not remembering the name of the artist. If anybody knows the name of this artist, please post it on the chat board. She did a beautiful little booklet using the mini mica tiles, and there's my husband and I and my children, and she used copper and wire, and it's really a great project. I know she's been all over the country teaching this particular project. So mica tiles are great for all different kinds of projects. I'm sure I forgot to even show you some, but we'll quit there for now. And I don't know if Joe has something else that he'd like to show you as well. Joe?
Yeah, I have a couple things, Sue. There's been a lot of chat in the chat room about that heat gun holder, so I did want to show that quickly because I don't think folks know how cool this is. This is like, can you see it in the camera, like a 1/4-inch thick steel. I mean, I don't know if you can hear it, but this sucker is heavy, and it's great to hold the heat gun in like this. You saw Sue use it the other way. You know, I'm never worried that I'm going to knock this over because this thing is solid. I really, really like it. It's from USArtQuest. The other thing I wanted to show you was the Cut Bond Create. People have asked, you know, what is that? This is that double-sided adhesive paper. I'm going to use it too a little bit later on in the show. But you never throw away any little pieces because you can cut it and use it to adhere, well, anytime you want a double-sided adhesive, but it works great with the mica. I wanted to show you some die cutting too. Really easy to die cut. So I've got my big kick here, and I know you can't see the whole big kick, but I've got a little die here, and I like to use the thick dies. I think the thick dies work a little bit better. But I think the thin ones work too. I saw Frankie answer that in the chat window. Now again, you're going to hear the crunching. Hopefully you could hear that crunchability in there. And let's see what we ended up with. Let me move this stuff out of the way. I can't even pick it up off the table. So the little reindeer. Now look how cool that is. And I did one earlier today. Well, actually, Joe Morgan did one for me. Look at the little deer. How cute is the little deer? Now this I did with Terry Spruill in mind. Terry, are you paying attention out there, Terry? So this is from my line of chipboard ornaments or embellishments from Want to Scrap, and there's this little pulley thing, little hook, and it really is meant to go with this pulley that actually spins. But I'm working on a 3D project where I'm going to put two of them like this. And what I'm going to hang from it is this die cut of a sign in mica that says clocks, and I'm making a clock shop. So these two things, I don't know how to show this on cam, but these two will go like this. Two little hooks will hang that sign that says clocks. And what I did was cut those letters, clocks, on my Zing out of Cut Bond Create. It's a font called God of War, which is a steampunk style font. Put them on here, peeled it off, then used some gold leaf. Put the gold leaf on and just brushed it off gently with a little brush. And I'm going to have a little clock shop. It'll probably use one of the little men that you saw Sue posting about. So I've got my chipboard embellishments here. And look at, I think that sign is just going to be so cool. So Terry Spruill, are you watching? There's my steampunk clock sign. So, Sue, I'm going to turn it back over to you, but I wanted folks to see die cutting and also get an idea of how you can use Cut Bond Create on top with gold leaf and even start to do 3D sorts of stuff, which, you know, I really love. So, there you go, Sue.
Well, I love the sign. I just can't wait to see that in person because I know it's really going to be special. I just wanted to show you some more die cut things that, like Joe was showing you. Again, this is the little rings that are already pre-done, but this one Beth Wilkinson did. Look at this beautiful piece done out of the reflective mica, and it's a brooch, and it's just spectacular. And she used 2 or 3 different sizes and then put them together with a brad and then put the pin back on them, and I just think it's just stunning. And then, of course, I have to do this because I just need to embarrass my friend Frankie just a little bit. This is Frankie. She is 1/2 of a twin, and she made this page using all the beautiful little die-cut flowers, this baby page of her and her little brother, Jay. I just think it's so cute in the way she did it and all the little flowers. These are all done with mica die cuts. I just think it's adorable. Now, these are done with the big, thick ones. I'm going to show you some flake things because it's hard to just demonstrate flakes because they're just little bits of something. If you use the gloss adhesive, this one is a large mica tile with a fish under it. This is a wooden tray, and even the edges were done with mica, as you can see, and I used the Grand Effects for that. But these are just like rivers of mica running through here. You can see the turquoise and the red and the amber, and then little bits and pieces of regular mica tiles cut up just for interest and character. And then the other half of the fish is down here. So it's almost like there was 2 fishes in the pond at the same time. A little more structured and less all over the place is this one. And you can use any pattern. This is an old quilt pattern, and all I did was use it as a mosaic and lay it out, and then just painstakingly with a paintbrush and some glue lay in each of the colors. And instead of doing all mica flakes, I laid in some tiles. And again, that just gives it a little more character when you mix them together because they have such a natural effect anyway. And then the flakes, to use them in more of a craft or home decor project too. This is a little holiday box. It's done with essence of pearl on the top and the silver on the stars. This is just glued onto the stars and painted underneath the essence of pearl. So the essence of pearl is a clear mica flake. So if you paint underneath it, whatever color you paint under it is going to show through. And in this case, we used a silver paint. So it has this silver quality to it. And then this is just some gilding on the side of this little satin mache box. So these are, I'm going to use these to put cookies in for various gifts. Sugar-free, okay with you, Joe? And then, and here, again, I showed you that little box with the Mica Delights, but I want to show you this, bring this in. Now, this is a little hard to show you on a 3-dimensional thing. You're looking down on it, but these are pears that have been covered with the Mica Delights. And they really are pretty. And you can use the colors, you know, you can give them a blush. And they look really pretty. And I paid 10 cents for them at a yard sale. But they're not plastic. They're the styrofoam ones. So they have a little nicer shape to them and a little more character. And I didn't mind if the pear itself showed a little bit, and just lightly covered them with the mica. This is a tray that I made using handles, and you just drill with your Dremel right through the mica and screw the pieces on. Frankie did that also with that piece I showed you earlier, and also with the with feet you can screw right through it and screw feet together. So you can make just out of some random effects. There's nothing fancy other than just some holes drilled. And I've used this on my table for quite some time. I serve hors d'oeuvres on it and that kind of thing because it's really a very natural way to serve fancy things for a party, that kind of stuff. And then I have one more kind of mica to show you. I see that we have some time, so I'm going to show you something you can do with the Delights. This is called 101. You can use light or heavy. And I'm going to use a stencil. And the stencil is this little dragonfly. And the reason that I like to use mica for this technique is, let me find a piece here. Here, I'll do it right on this. This is the piece that I had earlier. And I'm going to do this dragonfly right on top of this because it would be a natural thing to see on a plant. So let's just get this into the camera. I must have moved my camera a little bit here, Joe. And I'm going to smear this right over this mica tile. And now you can see that dragonfly. And the Mica Delights just look so pretty. Clean off any extra and put it back in your jar. And the Mica Delights will adhere to this quite nicely. So you can use any kind of adhesive as long as it's clear or that you cover it up. So that's the only caveat. So we can use grape tape, we can use perfect paper adhesive gloss, or Cut Bond Create for your clear things. And then if you want, look at that. So you have this pretty little dragonfly on top of a rubber stamped image. It really is kind of pretty. And here's some of the same things. This is just done on paper. And this is also the same technique done with a large stencil in the mica. So you can see it's really pretty. You can do traditional, you can do contemporary. This is a little more contemporary. Frankie made this one. This is a sticker on top of Cut Bond Create. And then the Cut Bond Create is sticky, so all the mica pieces fit inside. And then this is also the Cut Bond Create with a sticker. So, and the Mica Delights, which is beautiful. If these were glitter, Joe, they would be so over the top that you wouldn't even be able to put your eyes on them. That they wouldn't be pretty. But the Mica Delights have a transparency, as do the flakes and the tiles, that really make them nice.
Very cool.
I have mica craft left, but I don't know if you have anything in the Tiles, Flakes, Delights area that you want to talk about.
I do. I have a Delights project to show folks. So I love Mica Delights, but I think even more I love Cut Bond Create. Cut Bond Create I think is just a phenomenal product. So I want to show you the technique that I use with Cut Bond Create. There's a couple ways you can do this. So I want to share this little picture with you to show you where I was headed. I went on the web and I found this little picture of this owl. And I thought that owl was really cute. Now you could take that owl and lay it underneath Cut Bond Create and kiss cut it with a craft knife. Instead, I used my Zing. And what was really nice is I can take any image off the web, pull it right into the Zing, it'll trace it. And there it is on the mat, the cutting mat for the Zing. Once I have it on there, I actually colorized it so I could see what the colors would look like, and I added a branch so I could see what the branch would look like. So I actually designed my whole piece in the Zing, and then I went ahead and said just kiss cut the top layer of adhesive paper So all of this shape. Then I went ahead and said and deep cut the rest. So let me show you what that turned out to look like. I'm going to go over here and switch to my overhead cam. So hopefully you folks can see this okay. This is a piece of Cut Bond Create, and I went ahead already and I did the owl. I cut it on the machine. So I'm going to just lift off the excess. And can you see the little owl shape? He's a little tough to see, but there's the little owl. I'm going to just peel him off, get rid of my mat. And then I've already prepared a card, and this is a piece of mica that I just cut with a pair of scissors and glued it right on the card. So I'm going to put my owl sitting on that mat. And again, I got the piercing tool, so it's really easy to just grab this little back of the adhesive and peel that top layer off, throw it away. And now I can sit the little owl right on his branch. And I want to make sure that's adhered really well, so I'm just going to use a brayer to push that down. And now I'm ready to start the lighting, if you will. And what's cool, this is just like you were making a stained glass window and you're working sort of one color at a time. Look how fine, can you see how fine the line is that the Zing cut for what would be normally the leading of a stained glass window? I don't know if that's coming out okay. If you can see the thickness there, I just want to compare it to the end of a pencil. So that's how fine that cut. Is it coming out okay on camera? Robin, can you see it on cam okay? Now all that's exposed is sticky. So I'm going to just put some black on there. Again, this is just like the edge of a leaded stained glass window. And what I like to do is sort of push the black down in, push the colors down into the Cut Bond Create to make sure that it's really stuck in there. And what's cool is the Mica Delights, come in this cool little tin. You get 12 in a tin, and it even comes with this little foldable tray. So you can take this and dump it right into our little foldable tray and brush it off. So see how I have the beginnings of the owl? I'm not going to do the whole thing here. Let me just do, say, the wings so you can see what it's like. I'll go ahead and peel up the piece that's just the two wings. And now I can put the next color on. And we're going to go ahead and press that in. And I didn't even empty my tray, so in the essence of speed, I'm just going to dump this in here. Can everybody see there how that owl is coming into being here little by little? Right, so there's the little owl. And some of the techniques, I'll finish this while Sue does some, but I used it to create this frog box. So this is an old note card box that I painted, I added some paper on top, and then I did the same technique that I did with the owl. And it's really hard to see here, but I think if I show you this little picture, this is what the frog looks like. Can you see the sparkle there? So I love the frog box, and like Sue said, the Mica Delights gives it that real sort of natural feel. I did it with the frog box. I also bought a cheap nightlight at the dollar store. So literally it was $1. And then I applied the same Cut Bond Create onto the nightlight. And because it's partly transparent, the light shows through really well. So this is what it looks like when it's not lit up, and this is what it looks like lit up. So you have a couple choices there. I did another project too, the same sort of technique with Cut Bond Create, and did a composition that was for Ohio's 200th birthday. So I did a little assemblage, and this 200 at the top, that's Cut Bond Create applied to cereal box, peeled off in sections just like I'm doing the owl, and then it forms that 200 Columbus. So I'll turn it back over to Sue, and maybe while she wraps up with some other projects, I can finish the owl, and then we'll end here on time. So back to you, Sue.
Okay, whoops, there we go. Start sharing, there we are. Okay, can everybody see now? This is called Mica Craft, and it's the last of all the different micas. And when there is mica tiles being cut, and these are the mica tiles, when these are cut, there are always pieces that are quarter size or a little larger, but thin, too thin to be used for much. And this is a little tray that was made, and on top of this is called Mica Craft. And what they do with those shards, I'm going to hold it up really close so you can see, they put it together with a resin. And if you like the arts and crafts style lamps and all the different things from the Frank Lloyd Wright era, you'll see a lot of mica lamps. This is what it's made from. And you can hear it has a slightly different sound to it. And it's all made with a resin, that a shellac actually. And there's different colors. Ours is amber colored. And you can see that even some of the mica here has the staining in it. So I'm going to show you what you can do with this that you cannot do with any of the other mica. To begin with, it is so pretty with light shining through it. Here's a little piece that you can put a candle behind. See how that shows? You can see my fingers right behind it. And in this is a little bird's nest and an egg. And this sits in front of a candle. And it's really pretty. And it's just a box that's made with little wooden corners inside. And everything is just adhered to this box. It's really quite pretty. And it's a nice little nightlight, candle light, excuse me. So I've cut this piece, I cut it on the cutting board. You can cut it right off. These are 9 by 9 sheets. And again, I'm going to go back to my heat gun. And this is what's so fascinating. Now I can use a tin can. I can use my hands, but I'm going to use the tin can, and I'm going to show you something really interesting. So the heat gun holster is going to go, heat gun's going to go on. So hang on. What we're going to do is we're going to put this is going to get hot, and I don't want my fingers to get burned. But it goes pretty fast, so keep your eyes open. Let me see if I can stop this can from rolling. One of the things that I do is I put a little piece of grape tape on it, but I don't have any on the table, and I don't want to go running for it, so I'll just do this carefully. Let's see if I can do it without making a mess. Keep this from running around. There we go. Okay, put your heat gun upside down, turn it on, and heat this piece like so. And what happens is the shellac gets soft. If you look on the blog today, Beth Wilkinson posted a darling little bracelet, a cuff bracelet. Now watch. Now once you get it started, you can take your heat gun. I've gotten it started, and it really is much easier if you do that. You can take your heat gun. I don't know if I can do this easily. Ow, ow, it's still hot. And I don't think I can do it easily by myself, but I'm going to try. Do it slow. You don't want to speed this up. And this could be ow, hot. Do as I say, not as I do. Use some grape tape. But you can see you're going to get this shape. Now let it cool for a second, and as it cools, it will harden. And you can get any shape. It's still a little hot, so see I have a little flex in it. As soon as it hardens, there won't be any flex left. If you do it too fast, you might shatter the top. So just do it slowly. And that's pretty good. Still pretty warm, but getting there. And you can see as the shellac melts. So using your imagination, what kinds of things could you do? Well, look at the lotus on the top of this. Joe was here when I did this, and I'll bet you it probably didn't take a half an hour to make this lotus. So you cut out the petals, you run it over the can, and then you assemble the whole thing. And what I did was I dipped these into perfect paper adhesive and the Mica Delights before putting it together. So this piece actually features every kind of mica. A mica tile, large and small, and the mica flakes are all underneath. It has the mica rings, and it has the mica craft, which is really nice. A candle goes in here, and here I'll stick this little thing in here so you can see. See how that candle would sit right down in there. I don't use real ones, I just use the electric ones in here, the battery ones. So you can see how pretty this is. So the mica craft is really a unique product. You have to use your imagination a little bit to think about what you can do, but it wouldn't matter what size as long as you have the shape that you can bend it over. So little tomato paste cans will give you a smaller tube, and you can do all kinds of shapes with it. And if you do some things, I would love for you to show on our blog or on Facebook some of the things you do with mica craft, because there are some gorgeous projects out there. A lot of the book people are using it for book making and journal making and covers and artwork, and it's just a little bit more, how should I say, arty, I guess. This is a really interesting product. And if you like lamps, you can make lamps too. So that's it for me, Joe. I bet you have a few more things you'd like to say yet tonight, and I'd love to hear all everybody's, oh yeah, gloves. Good idea, Frankie. Should have had some gloves. That would have done it. This is a really great product too, and I think you're going to have fun. Oh, look, Joe, you're almost done. How cute is that? A little citron, a little bit of copper color. Really cute.
So I didn't quite get to finish, but hopefully you can see the sparkle on our little owl, our little hoot owl. I put some big gold, well, it's kind of like bling, on his eye, stuck right nicely to that cut bond create. And I think you can see the piece of mica here that's cut. So this is our little owl card. I think he came pretty cute. I still need to just peel that off and paint it. I really love this technique using cut bond create, kiss cutting it. And like I said, you can put your pattern on a light box, put your cut bond create on top of it, and use a craft knife. You go very lightly. It's not hard to cut at all. And there you go. There you have it. So Frankie's got some ideas for color there. I want to thank Sue tremendously for joining us tonight. Don't go away because we have some great prizes and stuff. But I want to thank Sue for joining us for sure. There you can see our little finished little owl card. It's funny because my hand focuses so well, but I can't get the owl to really focus that well. But I think you can see the sparkle. Does the sparkle come out okay on your end on the cam? Let's hope so. So let me go ahead here and change our layouts and do a little bit of cleanup here before we do some Q&A, some other questions. I'm just curious here, based on what everybody's seen, then let's see, how do I get back to the beginning here? Based on what everybody's seen tonight, are any of you going to ask Santa for anything on your wish list? So I put up a little quick poll here to sort of ask, is there anything that's on your wish list now based on what you saw tonight? Anybody see something new that they want to play with? So how cool. Oh, Mica Delights. Look at that. I love Mica Delights. I use coloring book patterns, stained glass window patterns. I love the kiss cutting effect. It comes in, I think, 24 colors. I'm not sure. Sue can correct me on that one. But I love it, and it's not garish at all. So here are the results. This is what folks want to see on their Christmas list. And Mica Delights comes in a really nice kit as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let me share that so you can see what that kit is like. Where did it go? So remember, down here you can see that item here, sort of the last one on the end on the right is the Mica Delights little set. It comes with that cute little tray. Everything you really need sort of built in right there. I want to thank Susan. Does anybody have any questions before we get to any goodies? I know Frankie's been working very hard to keep up with the questions in the chat room, in the Q&A window. So special thanks to Sue for all of her time and for teaching me. And I also want to thank Carol for taking care of our links and all the pods and the things that you've seen going on here tonight. and Frankie for answering all those questions. Terry asked if there's going to be another challenge. There was a gilding challenge in November, so the best way to find out about those challenges is you've got to connect to USArtQuest on Facebook, because that's where, if there is one, it'll be announced. I'd love your feedback. What would you like to see going forward? I'd especially love your feedback on Facebook. Just connect to us there, and please feel free to provide your feedback. And I'm going to give you a little area here, too, that you can start to put your feedback in as well. But Sue, I think you're still out there, I hope. If you want to join us on cam, you were kind enough tonight to say we could have a couple giveaways, I think. Oh, a 20 cards challenge. Sue wants to do a show where she says, you ready to do a drawing, Sue? You want to give something away?
Sure, sure. Let's see. How many people did we have
now,
tonight?
I tried last
52.
Time.
Okay.
52, yeah. And I tried this last time, and every time it picked me. So I'm going to select a random person out of our 52. Can everybody see my little slot machine?
How cool is that? Robin! Hi, Robin. Congratulations. You've won a little package of the new Mica tile minis that we have. So you'll be able to do all kinds of projects for the holidays with that. Congratulations, Robin. And I think we have one more, don't we?
You want to do another one?
Sure.
I'm ready.
One more at least.
Can I pull the lever?
Okay.
I love pulling the lever.
I'm taking you to the casino.
Oh, no.
Cynthia. Wasn't Cynthia one of the new people here tonight? Is that correct?
I think so. And we have one other great thing for you folks. I'm going to make it live down here in the bottom window, but there it is. Internet coupon. Everybody likes a coupon. So we have 20% off Mica products at USArtQuest. You have to enter the code Mica, all in capital letters, M-I-C-A, and it's good until December 9th. So there's that code. Special thanks to Sue for the code. Again, I do really want to invite you to stay connected with us, to subscribe. I didn't even have a Claritin and wine, Sue. I can't talk. Subscribe to our email list. You can do that by clicking those links right over there. They're live, Create and Craft and USArtQuest. Also, like us on Facebook. We're sharing lots and lots of projects. We're doing all sorts of stuff. If you have feedback, I'd love to capture it down in that window below, any additional feedback that you have. So with that, I'm going to wrap up tonight's show. I want to give a shout out to Terry Spruill, who has been supportive of me since I very first met her, and I've only been doing this for a couple years. She knows her stuff. She's delightful to work with. There's that tag that's making me itch. She's delightful to work with, and she does a show every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And the URL is right there in green. You could click it now and bookmark it right over there. You also could connect to her on Facebook. And Terry and I work great together. She's great to collaborate with. And she's great to crank phone call. That's what I did to her today, and I had the best time. It made my whole day. So Terry can tell you what it's like to be phone cranked by me. So thank you very much. It's 8 o'clock. That wraps up our 1 hour together. Remember, the best way to know about the next show is to join us on Facebook and our email lists. Right now, capacity is limited, so if you don't get on those lists, we may end up doing a show and you're going to miss it. I'm going to go ahead and finish my little owl project over here and get that sort of done. Joe Morgan loves owls, so this card will be for Joe Morgan. He actually cut the branch for me out of the mica. I appreciate you all joining us. Welcome any feedback you have, ideas, what you'd like to see in future shows. Terry just posted her link down there. The code for the coupon again is Mica, all in capital letters. Let me go ahead and move this. There's the code, Mica, all in capital letters. So have a great night. Hope to see you at our next event. Congratulations to our 2 winners, and go use that coupon. It's only good till the end of the week. Bye for now, everybody.